Photographer Randy Davis was down amidst the burning remains of these homes at about 7:30, 7:45, and what he was seeing were just row after row of just chimneys standing where once the houses were, and the gas lines direct into the homes, the gas meter lines still spewing gas, but the main gas line, which is what we're being told exploded, of course, had been shut down by then. We hear from an off-duty firefighter eyewitness that part of what added to the tragedy here was that when the gas line blew, it took with it a water line. So that's why they had no water for, in his estimate, at least a half an hour. He also told us that at that intersection of Glenview...
We may have just lost Heather. Heather, will stand by. We'll try to get your audio fixed in a moment. But one of the things she said echoes something that Brian Carmody, the news photographer who is sitting with us now, who brought in some remarkable pictures. One of the things that she echoes is the idea that in the initial blast, a water line was ruptured, as well as the gas line, which affected their ability to put water on the fire for about half an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and that certainly complicated efforts here.
We do have some... Heather's been talking to people on the ground. We can go to her tape and some of the folks she's interviewed. Let's listen to what she found.
Well, when I first heard the explosion, it was huge. I live right up on the hill and ran up the street, and the fireball was, 100 feet or more in the air. So I'm a firefighter, so right away I knew it was, a major thing. And it just would not stop. So we knew it was some kind of gas main, because it just kept going, literally 100 feet flames.
That's
it was amazing.
So this Glenview comes down to a dip kind of and then starts up again.
Where that fire engine is, the road goes down and dips up the other way. At the bottom of that dip, the hole in the ground is as big as that intersection right there. It's huge. And the reason why they had such a problem is it blew the water main. There was no water. That's why they're shuttling water in right now. They were waiting for water to put all this stuff out. They didn't have water for at least a half hour.
You're a firefighter with which department?
City of San Mateo.
And so how's your house doing?
I live up on that hill, so I'm fine. I was in my driveway, and I heard the explosion was incredible.
And you said asphalt got blown into some of these?
Asphalt was blown at least 4 or 5 houses down the street into the house. Okay. I mean, there's asphalt everywhere now. It was incredible.
So what is the technique for getting water here then? Is it a relay line?
They're shuttling water. It's called water shuttling. And they'll bring engines in with 500 gallons or more in each one, and they'll just keep shuttling them in and empty the tank, and they'll bring the next one in, empty its tank, and they just keep shuttling them around until they, until we can finally get a water supply.
Did you see any injured?
I don't know anything about injuries.
Yeah.
Heather, go ahead.
So, I'm sorry, we were having some technical problems there. I'm not sure if our off-duty firefighter, Neil Wild, was able to explain that he believes there was a children's playground at that intersection right where the explosion happened. He believes there was no one there, no children there at the time of the explosion, but I don't know how he could possibly know that. And in the dark, you couldn't see anything. And so when we left that intersection area about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, I can tell you that the fire was stopped. There were still houses standing at the address 1120 on the east side and 1121 Glenview on the west side of Glenview. Those homes were still standing, but everything past that was gone.
Okay.
So we are live on Sequoia up here at Sneath. Back to you.
All right, Heather, thank you. We'll check back in with you later.
And now we want to go to... we're going to go next, I believe, to Amy Hollyfield. No, I'm sorry, Lisa Galesian at Mills Peninsula. Forgive me. Lisa Galesian is reporting from Mills Peninsula Hospital, where several patients were taken. Lisa, what do you have there?
Dan, really things keep changing moment by moment. Mills Peninsula now tells me that 10 people have been brought in for treatment in the ER. A little while ago they told me it was 16, but fortunately the number is a lot less than they thought. And they also told me about 20 minutes ago their emergency triage alert was canceled. That means that they expect a lot fewer ambulances to come into the ER, and that the decontamination tent that they had set up in the ER parking lot will be torn down. That also means that the very crowded lobby will eventually filter out. Here's some video that we shot just a little while ago. All the patients are being treated for minor burns, first and second degree. They have redness and some blistering. The hospital had activated its internal disaster alert, which meant they'd set up triages in different parts of the hospitals, created many staging areas for families and victims. They also called in more help. Here is the hospital's chief of staff.
We have a fairly decent group of doctors that have shown up. We have general surgeons, we have anesthesiologists, we have psychiatrists. We can pretty much handle everything. A lot of nurses have come in and ancillary help, respiratory therapy. So we have enough staff here to pretty much man what seems to be coming in.
No trauma cases have come in, which is very fortunate. The doctors also tell me that anything that has been too major to handle would be taken to Stanford Medical Center. I did speak with the folks at Stanford, and they told me that they have not had any emergencies come into their ER through this incident in San Bruno. But again, they are on standby still at Stanford. This hospital, meantime, is going to be taken off alert. They say that they are able to handle everything that has come at them tonight, including 10 people that are being treated. They tell me that no one will be admitted for major injuries and that everyone should be treated and released later tonight. Live in Burlingame, Lisa Amin Galician, ABC 7 News.
Okay, Lisa, thank you.
Well, Brian Carmody, freelance news photographer who was on the scene of this blast within half an hour, is here with us now to share some more of the images that you were able to capture, Brian. We're looking at live pictures right now, but we're going to take a look at what you were able to see
at ground level. You know, Brian, you got there, what, 15 minutes after the blast, you think?
Approximately 15 minutes afterwards.
And you immediately saw a couple of houses fully engulfed in flames. This is some of your tape now. What are we looking at here? These are the airdrops.
That's exactly what I wanted them to show. That is CAL FIRE using a air tanker to fight this fire in a setting that is not normally
an urban setting. You don't see
an urban setting. It was absolutely incredible to watch these guys. You know, it's a very hilly area there, and to watch them bring these planes in and to make the drops where they needed was incredible. That was them just dropping Phos-Chek basically just south of where this where the main was actually burning.
And you were telling us that you had your own firefighting equipment to wear in this area. I mean, describe the heat of this.
I have very basic wildland gear is what it's called. So what helped me out was having a helmet and goggles and a face shield, basically, just for the radiant heat from this thing.
Yeah. You could feel it in a very profound way.
Absolutely. And apparently it was worse before we got there, because the house that I was standing in front of that had plastic windows on the garage door, and those plastic windows had melted.
Not from flames, from heat.
Not from flames, just from radiant heat.
You also described the sound you heard when you arrived on the scene, and a sound that continued for an hour or so.
The sound is what, you know, told me that this was definitely was a gas situation and not something else burning. You could hear this gas coming out. You know, I've been to, obviously smaller than this, but I've been to other fires where you had a gas main burning basically, and it's kind of the same sound, just a really loud rushing sound, very, very intense, loud sound.
And obviously this just magnified by the force of this blast.
I wanted to tell another little story. When I first got there, I ran into a police officer. This is kind of on the back of the off-duty firefighter that come in. People in emergency services from all over San Mateo County came to this thing, on duty, off duty, just coming down. The guy that I actually ran into was a sheriff's deputy assigned to the auto theft task force. So something that had nothing to do with what he was doing, and he was going door to door trying to get people to get out of their houses and evacuate everybody. And it was just nice to see that everybody at this time, you know, pitched in.
Sure. Yeah. For people who do this kind of work, it's a calling. You heard Amy Hollifield talk about the surgeons at St. Francis not on duty, and the nurses. They knew it was time to show up, and they realized people needed help.
Yeah, these are public servants, and you know, they see a crisis and they react. And boy, Brian, look at this. I mean, is this